All right, everybody. So it is your boy back here, one half into us in World Overload and part of the ACF, starting a new video series. The way to open it up and show real chefs doing real things, and it's important to all of us. Today, I am sitting here with Chef Gary Klinefelter, one of the biggest inspirations here in Pittsburgh food scene and any food scene where you could go, South Florida,
South Florida,
and
U.S.
beyond,
Virgin Islands,
Virgin Islands,
British Virgin Islands, Bahamas.
and beyond. A lot of people know Gary for his work that he's done here in the field. And I'm here just to interview him, get to know him, and to celebrate him. So Chef Gary, take it away. Tell us a little about yourself.
Cool. Well, so as you said, you're a member of the ACF. I'm a member of the ACF as well. I started doing this for a living when I was 13 years old. Started working in restaurants. I had a job as a dishwasher, and I absolutely hated washing dishes. And the kitchen manager, he was a 20-something. He kind of looked at me like a little brother. And I said, Joe, I hate washing dishes. And he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to cook. And he goes, what do you want to do that for? And he's like, stay in school. Let's go to college. And I said, no, I want to cook. And he goes, well, why?
Wow.
And I said, well, it just looks awesome. The smoke, the flames, the pressure, the camaraderie, all of those things just kind of resonated with me.
Yeah.
And he said, all right, you gave me answers that were realistic. I said, okay. So that was it. I started cooking. He started teaching me. I worked side by side with this guy for a good while, a couple of years. And he kind of taught me everything that he could at the restaurant that we were working at. And that was my first restaurant job. So and that being said, I'm going to be 49 years old. So I got basically 36 years of this business in already.
That's it. That's a heavy amount of work.
That is.
So he's 30,
35.
35?
Yeah, I'm going to be 49.
Man, I couldn't even tell. I need to know, what's the secret, Gary? How do you look so young?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Living at the beach, living in warm weather.
That'll do it.
That's it.
Sun, sand, and surf.
That's it. Some people at ages, I guess for me, it's been good for my soul. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely has.
Yeah.
So the journey you've been on is obviously a journey and a push that we're all striving for excellence. Some people perfection, even though people say perfection can't be met or whatever, which is indicative to it. So this is your journey. Your culinary world has been so remarkable with so many accolades and so many things that happen. Can you share some of your key moments or experiences that helped shape your career and ultimately led you to being named Chef of the Year, ACF Chef of the Year?
Absolutely. So, as I said previously, I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
I've had really great mentors along the way. I've had people that believed in me, that kind of showed me the way, took me under their wing and really spent time with me. And, when I was younger, I was not a good kid by any stretch of the imagination. When I was in school, it was always, I was in trouble. I was in suspension. I was just always, I don't know what it was, but I found the restaurant business really, did help me. And so along the way, I had mentors that, believed in me and saw me because I worked so hard in the restaurant business, because I think it was wanting to be part of an adult world and wanting to be part of something that was so awesome, where I was not doing well in, studies in school.
Yeah.
But put me in a kitchen and let me do my thing. I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be in suspension and I was reading, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, Julia Child's Volume 1 and 2, and I cooked my way through those books.
Yeah.
So that being said, I did have people that believed in me, but when I found the restaurant business, it was life-changing for me forever. But I credit a lot of that to, my first mentor, Joe Nacarelli, who taught me to cook. I went on to hotels and other restaurants. I did my apprenticeship here in Pittsburgh. And I just, I really immersed myself in it. And for me, I couldn't learn enough fast enough. It was just fascinating to me, everything about how it works. And so in terms of food, I really fell in love with the business and just poured myself into it. And I think I grew up, a little too fast, maybe.
Yeah.
Missing out on a lot of things that are key moments in a teenager's life.
Yeah.
But it was what I wanted. And so, fast forward all these years later, I've had great mentors along the way, from, Bill Ward, who I did my apprenticeship under, to, taking my first executive chef job at 23. And then going on to work in private clubs with another mentor, Charlie Ross. He and I were GM and executive chef at 4 different properties together. And Charlie had a deep love of, food and hospitality. owned hotels and restaurants in the Virgin Islands, and that's kind of how I came to the Virgin Islands as well, was through him. So all those people really made an impact in my career of me wanting to, to push forward and to be successful like they were.
That's wonderful, especially like at a spot where like and kitchens can have negative connotations to
Right.
people, and they think, oh, you're a chef, you must be either you're littered with tattoos, you do a bunch of drugs, you're no good. But then there are people like you that shun all those negative connotations,
Right.
and show what it really is for dedication and the stepping stones that make its way along your journey, and especially the places that it's taken you so well. I
Right.
mean, not many people get to see most of the world, and you've seen at least about.
I've been very fortunate. I've seen a lot. I really have.
So I think that's a very inspiring journey to hear that a lot of younger chefs that could look into and look up to.
It is. I truly believe that. But, I also said too that, the ACF has really helped me in my journey. I started my apprenticeship when I was 17 years old and became a member, and I've been a member since then. I've had so many amazing opportunities because of being an ACF chef. And then whenever I was in the Virgin Islands, I met another gentleman, Jeff Roach, who is still one of my mentors. And Jeff helped me with my CEC and helped guide me along that path. Not only just in that, but also to become a certification evaluator, teaching, coaching, mentoring people in other countries. And that's how, I did a lot of my travels and time living and working in other areas in the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, Antigua. And that was through Jeff Roach, as another one of my more recent mentors in the last 10 years. But ACF has been really instrumental in developing me as to who I am.
Yeah, as they really are. Like, they really are a federation of culinary.
Sure.
And they're really a helping hand and a great support system for people that take the culinary work seriously and then are very passionate about it.
Yeah. But it's what you make of it too. And I always tell people that, because there's a lot of people that don't necessarily buy into the ACF. And I'm not always certain as to why that is.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, for me, they've been just such a great support system. Just this giant network of, thousands and thousands of chefs that you have as a network to be able to look up to and to reach out if you're not certain on how to, start competing, how to start setting up your practical exam for your certified executive chef work. All those things, there's just thousands of people that are so willing to help you and mentor you in the ACF. And so I've been a big proponent of that for many, many years.
Yeah. That's good. That's good to hear. And it's good to know. I love it. It's especially because, as a new member of the ACF coming in, I could say where I was sitting from and the things that I was looking at. I was like, well, what am I really doing here, getting myself into? And to see the impact it's had on you, the impact you've had on me, the impact you've had on others, along with being now you can certify people as CMCs,
Yep.
MCs, and the unlimited knowledge.
Well, I can't do CMCs, but I can do CEC.
Sorry.
CEC, Certified Chef de Cuisine,
Yeah.
CC, CEPC. I can do every level except Certified Master Chef
Okay.
and Certified Master Pastry Chef.
So,
I had to clarify that.
yeah, I know. It could be a little confusing when people start hearing
Yes.
the multitude of titles.
There's so many different levels, and knowing what the different letters mean is an important part. But certainly those two highest levels, you have to be at that level to be able to do certification evaluations at that level. So,
And that's why we also believe certifications do matter. The
certification does matter. Yep.
So with that, moving on. So the second question for you, your plates are gorgeous.
Thank you.
Some of the plates and the work that you slang out and the things that you forge yourself into are so transparent on the plate that we get to know you as a person. I would say you're a chef that has more innovative cooking techniques. So you're known for your creativity and techniques in the kitchen. Could you highlight some of the culinary methods or recipes that you developed that you're proud of?
Sure, absolutely. So, living and working and traveling through a lot of the Caribbean, a lot of different areas, and being exposed to different cooking techniques and different, disciplines of cooking, I've been very fortunate. I've learned so much along the way. I've always described my style of food as eclectic world cuisine, everything from French American, Mediterranean, Thai, Pan Asian, Caribbean, Latin American, now Italian here being at Alla Famiglia. Okay. I've been exposed to so many different things, and along the way, you come with those different cooking techniques. And, we've seen the trends come and go. We've seen and I've seen so many massive renaissances in the culinary world over the years. And it seems that about every, 7 to 10 years, you go through a complete different rebranding, if you will. It's not so much about, dots on plates and little, caviar pearls and all those things anymore. It's really, you're seeing real food with real cooking techniques. And, some people thought sous vide would come and go. I think that sous vide is a great tool, but I also believe that you have to know how to do the basics first.
Yeah.
You have to be able to know how to cook something properly before you learn to use innovative techniques such as, a sous vide instrument or whatever. That's just kind of what my philosophy is. But some things along the way that have been really helpful to me is just, having influences all over the world. And I really, truly love to kind of blend my cooking styles with the places that I've lived and worked and been. And so, a lot of the things you see from me, is this kind of blend of living in the Caribbean and having these, big, strong, bold flavors and colors and utilizing, fresh products. And that's always been so important to me is that, you utilize local sustainable agriculture, responsibly fished aquaculture, things that are there. Living in the Caribbean, it's you're spoiled. You just have the most incredible things coming right out of the water, so fresh. But it's taking that product and letting it be the star, but then taking, the culture that you live with it and using some of the flavors. Perfect examples, I lived on St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and, you don't always have the best shellfish coming through, but, you get shellfish from, Maine, Boston, wherever you want to grab it from, and it comes there. But then I take some of the flavors that are local, curries and things of that nature, mangoes, those are all things that work together. But they have this really cool kind of cultural melting pot because a lot of the food that you see coming through the Caribbean is based upon the food that comes from the slave trade out of West Africa. Yeah. And all those flavors are, warm spices and curries and bright things like that's really what excites me about food. It's the different textures and colors and flavors. But, like perfect example, I have this one dish that I love to do so much that, we do these beautiful pan-seared sea scallops, and I do this, toasted coconut curry sauce with this spicy red onion and grapefruit salad. So you have this beautiful color and the warmness of the spice and the curry and then the coconut milk and then, this grapefruit salad with the red onion. And it's like all these flavors that are, so bright and vivid, but you're still not masking everything of the scallop. Like I want the scallop to be the star. You know what I mean? So there's things like that that really excite me. But, I've also spent a lot of time learning and understanding and mastering the art of dry aging meats. When I was in South Florida, I started a massive dry age room at the hotel that I worked for. I was the executive chef of outlets at the Diplomat Beach Resort. It's a 1,000 room beach resort on the Atlantic Ocean, 4-star, 4-diamond, and it was a great property. And I transitioned from the U.S. Virgin Islands to there, and I had never really done dry aged meats in volume before. And it was this giant experiment. And so I kind of figured this whole thing out through trial and error. And, I outgrew my first dry age meat room in 3 weeks. And so being that the resort's so massive, there were that other areas. And I'm like, okay, I need a bigger cooler. I need more room, more space. By the time I was done, I was putting in that dry age meat room probably around $40,000 to $60,000 of product a week.
That's impressive.
It was. And kind of a cool, fun story was I started dry aging meat for Jeffrey Zakarian. Jeffrey Zakarian opened up 2 restaurants in that resort with us at the Diplomat. And everybody was kind of raving about my dry aged meat program. And so Jeffrey Zakarian came in for a site inspection. And I had to do a cutting with him and his corporate executive chef, who was a young guy as well. And Jeffrey had tasted my product and was like, oh, my God, this is fantastic. And he told his chef, he goes, you know what? He goes, I don't know what this guy's doing. He goes, but you better figure it out. And then he thought about it a little more. And he goes, you know what? He goes, don't bother. I'm just going to have him do it. And I was like, wow. And that was kind of how that program was born. Yeah. It was really neat.
That's amazing.
Yep. So that's something that I'm proud of, is the ability that I've had to kind of understand and master the art of what dry aged meats are, because it's the things that I've done are a little bit different. Maybe I don't want to say unorthodox, but there's this standard. People say, oh, you have to dry age at this temperature and this humidity, and this is how it works. And I found ways to do it and extend the time periods on it to get what I want, versus trying to do it in just mass and just putting it out there. Yeah, I mean, we were doing some really cool craft stuff.
That sounds great, Jeff.
Yep.
That honestly, that's a skill that I don't think a lot of people would would even adapt to or think.
It was
What
challenging at
it,
first. I'm not going to lie.
the way that you kind of folded that out of the box is impressive. Also noted too, what you said earlier about you have to know the basic techniques before you start jumping.
Sure.
And everything else. It
Absolutely.
really brings everything that you just taught us full circle. So with that being said, let's talk about some of your challenges. That being said, let's talk about some of your challenges and your triumphs. Every chef faces challenges in your career. Of course, you have, we have
Absolutely.
a ton of people that have. What were some of your toughest obstacles you encountered, and how did you overcome them to achieve successes?
Sure. So, I've been around the block a few times. I've been to a lot of properties. I've worked a lot of places. I'll give you two stories. And one of my most challenging properties that I worked at, I was hired to come on with my mentor, Charlie Ross, to take over as executive chef at a private club, and I won't name the name. But it was a struggling club, and the general manager was hired to fix it, and he wanted to bring me on as the chef to help him fix. I came there, and it was the hardest property I've ever seen in my life. The staff was so unruly and angry and just unmotivated by the past chef that was there, and they just revolted that another chef was going to come in and take over and turn things upside down and change it. And it was a challenging time in my career. It was, it was 90, 95-hour work weeks, just trying to hold it together when everyone else was working against you.
Yeah.
And so by the time that I was able to kind of like turn the team around, it took me, 4 months, let's just say from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And I had finally got an upper hand and got a couple of good people to work with me. And we started turning the corner and being able to, take the people that didn't want to be there and let them go on their way, and then bring on people that wanted to be a part of, a teaching kitchen and to learn from somebody that had a lot of experience. In the end, I was very pleased to say that, we had a long program there. I did 5 years at that private club and put out great food that, I was very proud of. And even to this day, I have members that come from that club to this restaurant and say, "Oh my God, we just, we miss your food. It was so much fun. We had a blast," because I created a culture.
Yeah.
And the culture was to be, have a couple laughs along the way, but make sure our members were serviced really well, and to, to teach and bring up the younger next generation. That's always been what I've been about. So that's one of my earliest challenges, and then turned to a triumph. But then just recently, we've all keep hearing the word COVID, but, I was in an ultra luxury private club in South Florida in Delray Beach called Gulfstream Bath and Tennis. I was gainfully employed, very happy, had an incredible career. And, it was time to come back to Pittsburgh. And, boy, wouldn't you know it, that right before I'm scheduled to come back, COVID hits. And so we had all these challenges with COVID. And, how do you go from taking your successful food and beverage operation, and I had a 97% satisfaction with my members, and that's unheard of.
Yeah.
How do you go and do that and turn it into overnight takeout food,
Yeah.
and family meals, and, being a provisioning company? And I did all of those things in Florida. It was very tough, but it paved the way for me to understand what I had to do to just kind of overcome something. And so, fast forward, I come to Pittsburgh, and that was my first day here was June 15th. And I believe it was over the weekend right after the 4th of July, and we were shut down again.
Yeah.
And I was facing losing my job.
Yeah.
And I just moved here. My wife and I came to Florida, or I came from Florida to here, and we're buying a house. And I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I took the experiences I had in Florida, and I told our owner here, I said, I need to work. I can't not work. I just moved here.
Okay.
So what we did was we took Alla Famiglia, and I said, let me create a delivery service for meals, and let's go to a different suburb, every day during the week, and let's deliver what people love, Alla Famiglia, let's deliver it to them. Because we couldn't be open, but nobody said I couldn't cook here and take the food to them.
That's true.
So that's what we did, and so it was one of those moments where you had to just kind of learn how can you adapt and how can you pivot. And we were so successful. Not only, did I manage to keep, my job, my chef employed, a lot of people that were working for me it kept us busy and it gave us a purpose and everybody was happy with it. So it was just, that was one of my great moments where you look at, it could have been really bad and I could have lost my job and had nothing. But what did we do? We just kind of like flipped it around and said, no, I'm not going to just roll over that easy.
Yeah.
Here we are.
That's impressive, Chef. I gotta say, one of the most admirable things about you is your adaptability. Your adaptability and your focus to educate and bring others up, I think, was so impressive. We've all been in instances where our backs against the wall. We think,
Sure.
"Hey, it's hard for us to turn anything out, but to change to create a culture, change the way of how things are, and challenge against that, to really shine through and create something in the ways that you have, it's just admirable and impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shep. So this is gonna be the kind of like my last question. We'll have a little bit of a dialogue,
Sure.
but you know, so well, my last two. Your what advice could you give to aspiring chefs right now? Like people that are looking to make a name for themselves in the culinary world, or people that are the people that are just jumping into, maybe they don't want to make a name, but they want to get on the right path to education and learning. Um, are there any specific skills, mindsets, or what do you think they should be focusing and developing on? And what words would you have?
Absolutely. That's great. The big thing I would tell anyone that's coming up in this business is that, you need to be focused and want to do it and to, really put yourself out there for it. And by that, I mean, looking to work for great people, looking to work for people that want to develop you. You can go somewhere and just work and you're just going to be an employee. You need to go where somebody is willing to take the time to mentor you, take your goals and help you to translate them into what success is. I think that being involved, being active in your ACF chapter, volunteering, anytime you have an opportunity to go stage with another chef and see something different, I think those are all really, really important steps in just getting outside of your comfort zone, learning to see other things. Also, I think competing is another area. I've had such incredible success in the competition arena from the time that I was an apprentice until, still I haven't competed in a few years, but I absolutely love it. And it's a discipline I think that everybody should learn to do. And it's a heck of a lot of fun. It keeps your skills sharp. And, when I was coming up in the business, it was always that you had to go and win. If you didn't win, you weren't going to do it the right way. And I, to an extent, I agree with that. But at the same time, the journey along the way is also so important. And I can tell you that I learned so much about myself and so much about cooking and the styles of things and in that competition arena. And, it's so different than just being, a line cook and working on a line or working the grill. It's a whole different strategy of how you're going about things. And so it creates this other discipline that I think is so necessary. I truly believe in the competition arena. There was a period in my career where I was kind of burnt out on it, after my apprenticeship. And I thought, oh, geez, I have nothing to prove at this point. I've done so well. But you never stop learning. You have to forever be the student. And I learned so much along the way. You're going to make mistakes in your pursuit of excellence. When you're competing, you're going to learn something different every time and think about what you should have done differently. And those experiences and those things that you learn, they really become a part of your journey. And I can't tell you enough how important it was for me and even still. So I encourage any young, culinarians to get out there and do it, compete, be involved, stage. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You might fall on your face and, but you got to get back up. That's part of the journey. You're going to make mistakes, I still make mistakes. It's just part of life and learning,
Yeah. It's the most humbling fact. But also, competition really does bring out the best in all of us. Whether you're going down in flames, it's still the best. It's the best of you going down in flames. That
It
you're
is.
gonna be.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Oh, so with that being said, we're gonna wrap up a little bit. So we know that things are changing, times are changing,
Right.
new things are coming in every day. Old ways are coming back and
Sure.
re-evolving themselves. As someone who's seen the evolution of the culinary industry, where do you think we can see ourselves going?
In my opinion, I still feel that, being able to provide the best quality, freshest products and really focusing on sustainability is still giant. I truly believe that. It's the right thing to do. I know that as we're all in the same boat of food cost is so high, the cost of doing business is ridiculous. Your margins are razor thin to begin with. And, now you just look at that and you're like, oh my God, it's so hard to work in this restaurant business and be profitable. But I still truly believe that the smart operators will know how to come forward and do it. And I think that staying in touch with trends, still focusing on sustainability, it's so important. Flavors, I truly think that, you're going to see a lot of these great flavors that are international flavors. Like I said before, the curries and some of the Asian influences of, gochujang and other things of that. You're going to see all of that still come in full circle. I believe that's kind of where our path is going, but it's going to still be the same thing. Fresh, local, sustainable agriculture, responsibly fished aquaculture, and just made with love and made with care.
Most important ingredient.
It is. And I know we talked about, all these different cooking techniques and sous videing and all that. And I think that all that still has its place as a tool. But for me as a chef, if you haven't learned how to properly braise, a short rib, it doesn't make sense to just be like, oh, now I've learned how to cook a short rib 48 hours in a sous vide circulator.
Yeah.
It's great, but if you don't understand the basics, it's kind of crazy. But I still think that that's here. It's a tool to stay.
I love to hear it, Chef. I love to hear it. So I'm gonna run off a little bit.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I've had this in mind because I just, with everything that we do at the ACF, what we bring to the members, how much we've turned our ACF chapter.
Oh, yeah.
In this last year, it's been phenomenal. We're only 6 months in.
Yep.
The ACF has done tremendous amounts of things for you and a lot for you. You had the honor of winning the Chef of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to that point, how did you feel?
It is one of the most humbling experiences ever to see that you've been recognized by your colleagues for your work. Two of my most incredible moments in this business were the first one being inducted into the American Academy of Chefs. Just incredible experience. My life's work summarized basically. You spend so much time working on all these things to mentor people and to make this culinary world a better place, to even be considered that you can be inducted into the Academy of Chefs. And so, I looked at everything and I maybe didn't understand why my chef that I apprenticed under had me do a lot of the things that he did, but he was grooming me and setting me up even 30 years ago that I would be able to be inducted into the academy. And when I looked back at my life's work, it was incredible. And I'm like, wow, this is why I did that. That's why Chef had me do this. Oh my God, it all makes sense. It came together. And so in receiving that award, that was one of the most humbling experiences as well. It was, looking at certified master chefs that are there on stage and presenting you with this prestigious ribbon of, your work to get into the honor society of the ACF. It was amazing. But then looking forward, coming to Pittsburgh, I had another goal in mind is I wanted to make a difference in a chapter. And this was my home chapter. I spent a lot of years here coming up in this business and I wanted to be able to give back. And so looking at all the things that I accomplished in coaching and teaching and mentoring and doing, junior culinary teams and things of that nature, it's what it was that put it all together and brought it into perspective that I think our members recognized that and they were like, all right, this guy is one of the ones doing the right things. And so for me, it was almost like, you're almost in tears because it's taken me, 34 years basically of building my career and looking to help other people. And I never wanted to just win an award for it. I just wanted to do it because I wanted to help people. I looked at that troubled young kid that I was, and this business saved me. It really did. And I just feel the same way. That's all I wanted was to be able to help people and to be able to do better and give back to our community. And so being recognized for it was incredible. It's a great feeling. And I just tell everybody, don't give up. Don't stop trying to do what you're doing. Keep pushing forward. And, eventually your peers will recognize your work. And things will come to you and things will happen for you. The good is there. You just have to keep working hard to achieve it.
Yes, sure. Yes, sure. And you know what? I love that your story culminates and it highlights like highs and lows, but it proves that, it's not about the destination as much as it is about the journey.
Journey is
And the
important.
journey is the most important part because we're all trying to get there.
Yeah.
But the journey is what makes each one of our stories different and each one of our stories cohesive and pulled together.
Absolutely.
Chef, it's been an honor to sit with you, interview you. It's been fantastic. I just wanted to thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I've really enjoyed this.
Is there anything that any last words you want to part with to anybody that would want to maybe bend an ear or two?
Absolutely. I just say at the end of the day, I'm going to go to the young junior culinarians. Don't think about how much money you can make now. Not thinking about, oh, I can go to this place down the road and make, $2 more an hour. That's the worst thing you can possibly do. I mean, I get it. We all have to pay our bills and make a living. However, don't make that mistake. Go where you can learn. It's education is so important and it's what you make of it. And all these experiences along the way might not pay you a ton of money working for the best chefs out there, but they're going to enrich your life and enrich your career in a way that I can't even begin to tell you. I did that when I was younger. I wish I would have spent a little more time maybe working for other chefs and learning and traveling through Europe and Asia. It's never too late though.
Yeah.
But for the young student, don't focus on the money. Focus on where you can get the best education working for a chef that cares about you and your future, and you'll go far.
I'd love to hear it. I wish we had more chefs that had mind like you, Chef.
Yeah.
Well, once again,
Thanks.
everybody, I'm here with Chef Gary Klinefelter. It has been an amazing time at Alla Famiglia and an amazing interview. Chef, thank you.
My pleasure.